Hey everyone, welcome to Virtual Veg Fest Live. Really happy that you're here today. This is Helene, and let's start by saying we are now powered by the Plant Based Network. You can see our new logo on the screen, super excited. We're going to rebrand. It's perfect timing because this is my only live until, let me actually turn off my volume. There we go. This is my only live until after Thanksgiving. So I'm so excited because we've got Jon Camp with us, and let's talk about some business. So we have the Pig Preserve as our Pass the Buck campaign. Please donate if you can. Pass the buck means donate $1 or more, and for every dollar that you donate, you'll be entered to win a prize pack from Orgain. You can easily do that by going to virtualvegfest.com, and while you're there, check out the shopping. We have pizza being added like this week, and it's delicious pizza. So, and some other vendors too. And you can always get a gift certificate, hint, hint, for, gifts. We got something really new coming up as well called Shop Green Tuesday. So you got Black Friday, you've got Cyber Monday. What about Shop Green Tuesday? What do you do on Shop Green Tuesday? You shop all the really cool vegan, plant based, green vendors, and they'll have special deals that you can only get on Shop Green Tuesday. And you'll get those through virtualvegfest.com. Like our social media, and you'll be entered to win a prize back from Hodo Foods, Crafters Organics, Follow Your Heart. If you saw my live I did on Triangle Veg Fest the other day, we got a package from Follow Your Heart, and there's so much stuff you can win. It's so cool. You just go like our social media. And the Plant Based Network also has a promotion, a giveaway for Follow Your Heart as well. Go to their Instagram. Multiple ways to win. How cool is that? So Jon Camp is part of the Humane League, and he actually came down to North Carolina in 2016, and he emceed our education day on Sunday, and on Saturday he actually spoke at our event. It was one of those years where we did 2 days, and we had many speakers. We had like, I don't know, like 15 speakers on Sunday, and I needed three different people to MC, and he was one of them. But I'm going to bring him on so you can get to know him and what he does for the Humane League, what he did prior to the Humane League. He's a musician. It's just like really cool. So here we go. Hey, Jon.
Hi, Helene.
How you doing?
Nice. Good. How are you doing? It's nice to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm
It's
glad that I'm considered really cool by you.
of course. I mean, you're a musician, and that's just really cool in itself. And
Yeah,
something you don't really think about when you go into like the vegan realm. I don't know. I don't necessarily put them together, and I should because we were just talking about Eleni and Beloved Binge, and they're like ethical activist vegans, and they've got a vegan band.
that's right. Yeah, Robin and Lenny, big fans of
Yeah.
them.
Yes, us too. And Eleni was on, so. But
Yeah,
Jon, can you tell people who you are and about you and what you do?
sure. So, as you said, my name's Jon Camp. I've been involved in animal protection now full time for 20 years. Started as an intern at Farm Sanctuary 20 summers ago in 2000. And then for 10 years, traveled around the country with vegan outreach. I'd go from college to college, leafleting on college campuses about veganism. And I did that so much that I gave out 1 million booklets and visited about 500 universities throughout the vast majority of the US and some of Canada. And then about 5 years ago. I'm coming up on my 5 year anniversary in a month and a half with the Humane League. I joined forces with the Humane League, and I've had multiple roles. For a while, I was running the grassroots department, and over the last couple years, my work has been more external, where it's more meeting with supporters of the Humane League and nurturing those relationships, and then also external things like this, giving presentations at VegFest. And so I'm senior officer community engagement now, which is doing that is engaging our supporters about the Humane League's work. And as you said, yes, I'm also a musician, and I play fingerstyle guitar, fingerstyle electric guitar. I do it solo and with a band. Play out pretty frequently in the DC area pre-COVID, and also do some playing throughout the country, and so I'm actively am active musically, and I find that it's a nice balance to have the two things that I'm most passionate about in life in full force in my life.
That's really cool. Because
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
you've been down here and you've played at some of our local like bars. I just haven't.
Arcana and Duke
Yes.
Coffee House.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
just haven't
uh-huh.
been able to make it out to them when you're
Oh, sure,
here,
sure,
but
yeah.
I do see that you are here.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, and there's a really good music scene in Durham and the
Yeah.
Triangle region. So, yeah.
Oh, let's see. Linda. Hi, Linda. Linda's awesome. She said, hi, Helene. Hi, John. Excited to learn about the Humane League today.
Awesome. I'd love to talk more about it, Linda.
I know that's a great segue. I'm just going to have you
Okay.
go.
Love it. Love it. So the Humane League is an international nonprofit, and we focus on farm animals. We focus on farm animals because they're injured, they're harmed in the largest numbers. So out of all the animals raised and killed in the United States, about 99% of them are farm animals, and they also endure uh, horrific conditions inside of factory farms. The Humane League takes this really, we focus on two main approaches. One is we do vegan advocacy. So we have a website, eatingveg.org. We do Facebook advertising for veganism and bring people to pages where they can download information about a vegan diet. But then what we do probably best is institutional campaigns where we work with primarily companies to get them to ban some of the cruelest confinement practices for farm animals. We focus primarily on chickens because chickens also suffer in the largest number. They represent about 90% of all land animals raised and killed for food. And so over the last 10 years, we've been going company by company, getting them to for starters, it was to ban battery cages, which is a small confining cage that keeps multiple hens, egg-laying hens in for their entire lives. And we went company by company and got the pretty much every major food purchaser in the United States to agree to phase out battery cages. And we're still working on that on the enforcement side of it, but now we're also working on chickens raised for meat, and they're called broiler chickens by the industry. And there are a number of indignities that they endure, and we've been going company by company to get them to address some of the key ways that they suffer and to move forward to a better system, a less cruel system. And right now for that, gone over 150 companies like Burger King and Subway, Chipotle, et cetera, to sign on to that. So to sum it up, we're a farm animal protection organization that focuses on vegan advocacy and then real world reforms that reduce the suffering of animals in the here and now. And Linda, if
That's
you have any questions about that, I'd love to answer them.
right. If you have any questions or comments, just like Linda did, please put them in the little box and we'll definitely say something to you as long as it's applicable to the topic. Yeah,
Sure.
we've been spammed. So,
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah, yeah. So, I'd like to touch on there may be people watching that don't know. Like, they
Sure.
think, oh, what could they be doing to the chickens that's, cruel or
Sure.
inhumane?
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe we should educate.
Got it. So for the two issues, let's go into the battery cage. So that's this tiny wire mesh cage in which multiple birds, sometimes five-ish birds, are kept in a cage. They live their entire lives inside of that. It's 12 to 18 months. These birds inside of a battery cage are unable to fully spread their wings. They're unable to move around if they're being attacked by a predator. If there's an aggressive bird in the cage, they're unable to escape. And they're living on this wire mesh cage that's frustrating for their feet. Each bird has the total living space of the size of an iPad. And so this is just a life of chronic suffering. And that's how the vast majority of these birds have lived their lives over the last many decades in the United States and now elsewhere. And so for the Humane League, We first, we want to keep pushing towards our ideal world, and that's why we do vegan advocacy. But we're also pragmatists, and we ask, in this real world, what are some actual steps that we can take to minimize the suffering, and then to just keep pushing the ball forward so that we can ask for bigger asks and bigger asks. And so we settled on the battery cage about 10 years ago with some of our colleagues at other organizations. And so we started small. It started with a single university getting a single convenience store to ban battery cages from their supply chain. And then we started asking entire colleges to do that. And then we started seeing some of the big colleges like Harvard and George Washington University, et cetera, saying we will not use any eggs that come from battery cages. And then we started going up the food chain, so to the major food service providers like Aramark and Sodexo. And then we started going up to the major restaurant chains like McDonald's and Burger King, Subway, et cetera, and then the major retailers like Walmart and Kroger and Costco, until all of them had agreed to phase out the battery cage over the next few years. And now, right now, we're in the enforcement stage with them of just making sure that they live up to their promise. The good news is that a lot of them are, and then some of them need a push to make sure that they are living up to those promises, and we're happy to provide that push to make sure that they do that. And then so that's for starters, battery cages and where we're at. And then that represents about a third of a billion farm animals in the United States. And then the vast majority of the farm animals in the United States, the land animals, are chickens raised for meat. That's about 9 billion of them every year. And these chickens suffer in a few different ways. One is just that they've been bred to grow so fast, so heavy and so fast, over just genetically manipulated to grow so fast over the last many decades. So when we look back at just a half century ago, they now grow about 5 times as fast as they did then. So just to put in perspective, let's say you out there weigh 150 pounds, but now instead of that, you weigh 750 pounds. And you have the same skeletal structure, the same organs. And so you just haven't been bred to have such a top-heavy body. And that causes a lot of chronic suffering for these birds. They often flip over. They're killed at a very young age, but yet still, while babies, they often flip over and their internal systems give out, and they die just because their body can't keep up with that. There's also I'll just go a little bit longer on this. There's also the live shackle slaughter, which is atrocious. And that's so at the end of these birds' lives, they are killed by, they're ripped out of cages. They have their brittle bones. Often they break their wings or their bones in the process. They then have their brittle bones flipped upside down and slammed into shackles. They then have their head dunked in an electrified vat of water, which is often not turned up sufficiently. And they're also sometimes thrashing around, so they sometimes miss that. Then they have their throat slit by a mechanized blade, and then they are dunked into a tank of scalding water to remove their feathers. And that they're often still fully conscious while that happens. So the whole live shackle slaughter is just in horrendous final moments of these birds' lives. And so we're also lobbying these companies or pressuring these companies to move away from live shackle slaughter. And then finally, these birds often just are overcrowded and don't really have any environmental enrichments, don't have a window having fresh sunlight coming in. And so we also address that. So our Better Chicken commitment focuses on their genetics, on moving away from live shackle slaughter, and then providing a better situation in providing environmental enrichments and fewer birds per farm. And so we go company by company, asking them to adopt the Better Chicken commitment. And sometimes we campaign hard against these companies. And it's slowly adding up to more and more companies signing on to this. And, this doesn't create a utopia for these birds, but it's a meaningful step forward that reduces a very significant amount of suffering. And then we're also incrementalists. So we believe that sometimes in order to get from A to Z, we sometimes have to go to C to D to E to F. And that's what we're doing, is just moving the needle forward and then continuing to move it. We want to just keep moving the needle forward to make sure that we keep inching towards a radically better world for farm animals.
If you cut off the source for the cruel product, they'll
Sure.
have to stop creating the product in a cruel manner.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's why California is so powerful, because they create
Hmm.
laws that the rest of the country doesn't
Yeah.
have. But
Yeah.
they're their own country in a sense
Oh,
within
yeah.
this country. And when they
Yeah.
say we won't buy, you can't have stuff done this way in this state, then across the country all these businesses go, I guess we just have to change this for every state, because
No, that's
why would we do it one way for California and different for the other states?
totally. And so in 2018, there was Proposition 12, which voters took to the ballot box and won in an overwhelming margin, to ban battery cages for egg-laying hens, to ban gestation crates, these cruel crates for pregnant pigs, and then veal crates for veal calves. And what was nice about that is it not only banned those practices in California, but it also banned the sale, or it banned the sale of any products that came from those practices. So that meant if you're a farmer where you are in North Carolina, and you wanted to do business with California, the fifth largest economy in the world, now time is up for using those cruel and antiquated practices. So yeah, and California has also led the way on banning the sale of new products that come from fur. So that was, I believe, last year that Governor Gavin Newsom signed that into law. So yeah, California leads the way in the United States often on farm animal issues and animal issues as a whole. And they got a lot of clout, they got a lot of money, and so
Yeah.
it's inspiring that California is doing so much.
Yeah, it definitely helps with change across the country, because it wouldn't just happen, as you know.
Right.
The pressure that you have to put on some of them, that's they probably just go, yeah, 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 and then you're like, no, really.
Oh
You
no.
said by this date you need to do this now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, change, as you were saying, change only happens because of the individuals who are making it happen. That if we didn't raise our voice and push for change, those who are in power would be happy with the status quo. And so that's why our activism, our supporting groups that are doing good work, makes it's a night or day difference for the lives of animals in the country.
Oh, for sure. And to go back to the chickens, I'm gonna
Yeah,
play devil's advocate for a second, because
please.
there may be some people watching that
Yeah,
still eat eggs, and they
yeah.
say, "But I buy free range."
Hmm. Yeah, well, there are a couple things there. First, I would say that eating free range is better than battery caged eggs. That said, I think that for them, if they're already making consumer choices to move in a positive direction for farm animals, I think it's worth considering all the vegan options that are out there. I just celebrated 22 years as a vegan and a quarter century without any meat in my life. And and I just ran a half marathon and am doing well for a plant based diet. So it's certainly uh, ideal to move towards plant based eating. There are some who then say that these cage free campaigns make people complacent, but we just don't see the evidence for that. That we find progress, even sometimes when it's imperfect progress, tends to beget more progress. But yeah, I definitely encourage anyone who's moving further on the spectrum towards animal friendly choices to explore vegan eating. I often reflect on all these great foods that I'm eating that were previously off my radar, and how now I'm starting to see the benefits of eating quinoa for 22 years and these things that were off my radar that are good for you and that are interesting. So yes, I'm a big proponent of veganism, and I encourage anyone who's considering that to keep moving in that direction.
Right, because a lot of times on here, what I find that people feel is really juicy. We have cooking demos, we talk about food, we talk about health. And that has a lot of engagement because I feel like that's probably the number one thing that people gravitate towards
Mm-hmm.
is they kind of go, oh, my health. Oh, the doctor told me this, or I need to
Yeah,
lose weight, or,
yeah,
my cholesterol is through the roof. And instead of getting on medication, let me try changing things up. And, there's no cholesterol in a plant based vegan diet. So, hey, let's do that. And then
sure.
if they stick with it, maybe they'll learn about the cruelty of the animals.
No, that's often the case because often people are resistant. They're much more open to the ideology of this when their day-to-day choices are reflective or are conducive to that. Whereas if they are really sold on they need to have meat in their life, it's often then harder to consider animals as being worthy of our compassion. So yeah, I think whatever way somebody wants to get into this, whether it's health or environmental concerns, that as you're saying often does lead to them being more concerned about animals.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then maybe then maybe they realize the impact on the planet from animal agriculture. And that
Yeah.
is not very juicy to people because we've had Slash Rao on and it's all climate. And
Yeah.
I want people to get like find the climate and the environment just as important as the food that you're putting into your bodies
Sure. Sure.
because it all has the same impact
Sure.
that we
Yeah.
need to be conscious of. So it's one of my goals is to make climate and the environment just as juicy as health
I
and feeling good when you're eating like this food that that no animal suffered and it's healthy
sure.
for you. And the
Yeah.
fact is, you're saving the planet with every meal that you eat that doesn't
Yeah.
have animals in it.
Agreed. We're seeing promising signs, I think, for individuals taking the climate part of this serious. We're seeing more and more environmental groups who are promoting a plant-based diet, something that they were kind of silent about even 5, 10 years ago. So we're seeing much more, many more environmental groups doing that. And I think, we're seeing the real world ramifications of not addressing climate change, with each passing year, with more and more wildfires and the like. So, I think it's at least being discussed a lot more that our diet does help minimize climate change.
Right, hurricanes, wildfires.
Right.
I mean, it's been a wild 2020 for multitudes of reasons, and the weather
Wild.
has been one of them,
Yeah.
and the impacts of it. The fires in California, not the ones that were set by the baby thing, but the
No.
fires are. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
we need people to wake up and realize that there is something that we can do, and the time to do something is now.
Wholeheartedly
We
agree.
can't go much further than now because
Right.
things are not good and they're going to get worse, and if we want there to be a planet for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Having two nieces and a nephew, that it definitely worries me, and it gives me even more of a sense of urgency to do something to make this world a better place.
So Dave Costa said that Colorado loves you and
Oh,
that
and I,
people
I
love your
love
work.
Dave, and thank you, Dave, and I love you, and I love Colorado. I've known Dave for a while. Was introduced by our friend, the late Lisa Shapiro, who is one of my favorites. And so hi, Dave. Thanks for chiming in.
I'm a fan of Colorado as well. And then Linda asked another question. She said,
Sure.
"Are you able to comment on kill pens or stockyards at all?"
That's not really my specialty, and it's not really something the Humane League focuses on. First, stockyards are the basically the system where we've moved cattle over the we yeah I would say that the Humane League primarily focuses on chickens at this moment because they represent the vast majority of farm animals. I could give a little on that, but I don't think I would be giving it the detailed justice that it deserves.
Is there someone you would recommend that Linda go to?
So we're talking about the killing practices of these animals, and so I would say that it would be good to watch some of the videos out there that are on YouTube, like it used to be Meet Your Meat. I'm trying to, I think it would be worth digging into the videos to get the visual justice of what animals go through in their final moments, specifically what you're talking about, pigs and cows.
Dominion
But but
Earthlings.
but yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the gist of the killing for these animals though is that they're huge animals, and you have workers yanking, shackling their foot, lifting these heavy creatures up, and then poking them in the throat with a knife, and doing it in a rushed manner that doesn't take their welfare into consideration. And so it's a brutal process, and it's to be a animal that weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds to be lifted up by a leg often is a brutal process.
Linda just said she's involved in rescue, and they try to rescue the horses and calves that we can, but it's heartbreaking. Yeah.
It is heartbreaking, and it's great that you're involved with the rescue. I would like to know more about that.
Which rescue, Linda? That'd be,
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be curious as well. This is some of this conversation is not the easiest conversation to listen to or to have.
sure,
I used to go into the classroom with ethical choices, and we would show a factory farming slaughter video, and I couldn't watch it because it's, well, one, you're in the classroom, you may be doing 4 or 5 presentations in a day, and that's
sure.
4 or 5 times that video will go, and that's just one day. So I would always turn away, but I would actually watch the reactions of the high schoolers.
Yeah,
And you don't always know what's going on. You should know where your food comes from. I
yeah.
feel like that's really important. You should know where your food comes from. And if you can watch that and go, okay, I'm okay with
No,
that. I
right.
mean, obviously high school, you don't have an income. You're not buying your own food, but the
Yeah,
seeds are planted for when they are. They may think back and go, I remember, maybe I don't want to eat pigs or cows, or I know where veal comes from. Do you know where veal
yeah,
comes from, everyone?
yeah.
I don't. Do
Uh,
they know? Do you think they know?
Right. And sometimes we don't know the impact of our work, that sometimes it might be just stunned, or sometimes people who are moved don't always voice what they're feeling. And then sometimes we find out later that they were very moved by it. I remember when I was traveling for vegan outreach, and I would be giving out hundreds, sometimes thousands of these booklets a day. And sometimes when I would go to my car at the end of the day, I wouldn't necessarily know if I made a difference. And then we'd get vegan starter pack requests coming in from these areas that I and our other volunteers and employees were leafleting at. And so it's in some ways, this work that we're doing is a numbers game, and we just want to reach as many individuals as we can with this. And there are some who aren't going to be super moved by it, but then there are a lot who are going to be moved by it, and it works on those it works with.
Right. You don't know. You don't. I mean, just because they don't take the pamphlet, it doesn't mean they didn't listen to the conversation. And
No, totally.
they might. You don't. Things have to happen in people's lives. Typical humans need to have some sort of impetus. They need to have some sort of catalyst to create change or facilitate change. They don't,
Sure.
most people don't just kind of wake up and go, I'm not going to do this anymore. It,
That's
good.
No, that's right. And sometimes it's a gradual process. I know for me, I thought about the issue for a while when I was a youngin, and then it was a college course, an ethics course at local college that got me to go vegetarian. And then it was 3 years that I was a vegetarian, even reading a little bit about eggs and dairy. And then 3 years later, I went vegan. And so it was just gradual accumulation of information and being more comfortable with the idea, hearing a few more dogs bark, and making me think about the plight of farm animals. And so yeah, it's a gradual process, and we just have to keep chipping away at it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't go an hour without the dogs barking.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so here we go. This is a great question from Dave. Can you comment on the value of sanctuaries?
Mhm.
He volunteers at Love and Arms Animal Sanctuary. Feels important for the animal and a way to educate folks.
Yeah, well, first, I'm a big fan of Love and Arms Sanctuary. I visited them just about a year ago to this day. I gave a presentation at Love and Arms Animal Sanctuary, and great people and some lovely animals there. It's awesome that you're volunteering there. I know that I really my first big foray into farm animal protection was spending the summer of 2000 interning at Farm Sanctuary. And it was there that I started to feel a sense of urgency to do more for farm animals, because I got that this goat that's coming up and jumping up on me was not that unlike my dog Mandy growing up. That these and that even amongst the individual species, that these animals are so different from one another. So for me it humanized or personalized these farm animals to me. So I think that animal sanctuaries serve a very important role in doing that. Uh, so yes, I'll say that I am a fan of farm animal sanctuaries. We've got a good one in the DC area called Poplar Spring Animal Sanctuary, and what they, where they really serve their purpose is in bringing the general public to come and interact with real live farm animals and get to see that these farm animals are not that different from their pet dog or cat. They have likes and dislikes, and they feel joy and pain. And so I think the sanctuaries that do it best are those that also have an educational component to it. So, at Farm Sanctuary, they had a barn where people could come in and learn more about it. I know that during their tours, they would tell people about the conditions on farms, so that individuals walked away with a sense of what factory farming is like. So, I think it's good for people to meet these animals, but then I think there also has to be an educational component about factory farming, vegetarianism, veganism, etc. But to sum it up, I'm grateful for the work you're doing, Dave, and I am grateful for the work of sanctuaries. I think they serve an important role in this movement.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
They give sanctuary, the definition of the word, to farm animals
Hmm.
and a place where they can live out their lives without the cruelty, the harm, the threat of death or violence or
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
And they live out the best of their lives for the chickens and the roosters and the turkeys and the ducks. A little harder because some of the chickens come and they have a lot of medical issues because of how they're raised now. They've been
Yeah.
genetically modified in a
Yeah.
sense
Pigs
to
too.
be much bigger than they should be, and then they end up with, they don't live as long as they should. And then
Yeah.
it was funny in the classroom, the kids would be like, "Why don't they just like let them all go?" And I'd be like,
Hmm.
"Chickens can't survive in the wild,
Sure. Sure.
and we're not talking like 5 chickens. We're talking thousands upon thousands, millions. Where do the millions of chickens go if they just let them go tomorrow?
Yeah.
They just run in the forest. Ah. I was like,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Right.
work. The way
Right.
to get this to work is the way the Humane League is doing it. You're slowly working on facilitating change to lessen the need for people
That
to eat the animals, which will lessen the need to raise them, which hopefully will lead to us not eating them anymore.
Yeah, we're trying to change the institution. So I think you need organizations. The farm sanctuaries are really useful, but then so are, as you were saying, organizations like the Humane League that are working to change the structures of first trying to decrease the number of farm animals raised and killed every year, but then also working with the companies and the governments to ban some of the cruelest practices.
Well, Linda has added a lot. Let me see if I
Oh
can.
yeah, I
So
like the enthusiasm, Linda.
yeah, I'll read it. I don't know if it'll all come up on the screen. So
Sure.
it's a rescue shelter in Michigan with over 150 animals: farm pigs, potbelly pigs, horses, llamas, alpacas, goats, sheep, geese, turkeys, cows, feral dogs. This sounds like Ziggy's. Feral dogs, cats, all of the poultry that come in go out to dedicated volunteers that adopt them into their flocks. Some of the
Hmm.
dogs were rescued from the Thai meat trade, ferals
Hmm.
off the streets, abandoned,
Yeah.
abused. Wow. Many of the animals were abused or were from hoarding cases. Animals that are rehabbed and able to be adopted are. The rest live out their lives on the farm and are loved and spoiled. What is the name, Linda, of this amazing place for these animals so we can support them? It's the only thing we don't know right now is the name.
Sounds like a place I'd like to visit, though.
Yeah, that sounds it's incredible, and it's in Michigan. Michigan's interesting. It's an interesting state because I went to Detroit like years ago for a family
Sure.
thing, and there's a vegan billboard
Hmm.
right outside of
Yeah.
Detroit. You're like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and in Michigan, and I know at the Humane League we've got a disproportionate number of folks from Michigan. So there's something in the water that's leading to people being interested in farm animal protection.
So they're called the Devoted Barn.
Ah, nice,
I
nice,
I'm gonna ask Linda to put me in touch with them because I would love to have them on.
cool. I'll check them out too.
Definitely,
Thanks,
thank
Linda.
you. I know
So I
I really
take
appreciate that.
Yeah, so I take it Linda's from Michigan.
Yes, that's what she is. She's a carryover from Kathy Hester. She's
Hmm.
one of the people that, and I have Kathy Hester on, who's been on a lot because
Oh,
if
nice.
somebody cancels, I write to Kathy and go, "Hey, cooking demo," and she's like within 2 hours notice, Kathy's like, "I can do it." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes."
yeah,
So, and
nice.
then Linda has now watches us when we're on
Sure,
live,
sure. Awesome,
even without Kathy. So I really
awesome.
appreciate that. Yes.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is incredible because the work that's being done, like we've said, is it's so important, and it's to make people aware of what's going on, how it's going on, and why it's important to pay attention to your source of food. Why, I mean, the source of the food, yes, and obviously we're saying we're proponents of a vegan plant-based diet.
yeah.
Why it's healthier for you, it's healthier for the planet, it's clearly healthier for the animals.
Hmm.
And
No, it is. Yeah. Yes. I think that, I mean, first, it's always good to try new things, and so for those who are out there considering this, I think it's worth it to maybe try 1 day a week as on a vegan diet and see where that goes, and gradually expand it. Find the things that you like, find the foods that you like, find those that and keep eating those. Find the ones that you don't like and discard those. But I think it's always good to try new things. And as a 22-year vegan, it's been probably the decision in my life that I'm the happiest with that I did.
now
Yeah.
let's go back like 22 years ago. I
Yeah.
was vegetarian 22 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, because for
Hmm.
me, between my vegetarian and veganism, it's over 30 years.
Hmm.
So, you mean you were like when people joke about what are you eating? Like 22 years ago, really, what were you eating?
Oh yeah. Much different landscape, as you know, much different landscape from now. When I first went vegetarian, there was this small health food store in Antioch, Illinois, where I grew up. It smelled like a health food store, with like wheat germ or whatever it was, and you had a few veggie burger options that definitely did not taste like a Beyond Burger, and and you didn't really have much. And then it's just been amazing over the last 2 decades to see this rapid expansion of vegan alternatives. I even think of soy milk. I remember the days when I had powdered soy milk, and I put it and I mixed it with water, and now to think that you can go to any mainstream grocery store, and there's sometimes aisle and aisle of all these vegan alternatives. It was so many that I can't possibly try them all, because it's just every time I go, there's something new, or two or three new products. To see all this investment in products like Beyond Burger, in Impossible Burgers, to think that Burger King would have an Impossible Whopper that they would advertise on NFL games or UFC, in the center of a UFC fight, you'd have an Impossible Whopper ad there. It's just a totally different ball game now compared to then. So I can certainly empathize with people who say it's hard to go vegan, but I will say it's a lot easier now than it was 22 years ago. Oh,
That's there's no comparison.
yeah.
The powdered soy milk. I mean, now it's hard to find soy milk because there's so many other plant-based milks that soy
There
milk is
are.
like the stepchild. Like it's not even there's like one brand of it on the shelves and maybe not even refrigerated.
No.
It's the pack on the shelf that's not refrigerated. You're like,
Yeah.
it's like that's the
Yeah.
it's the strangest thing. It's to live through these changes and to watch it. Like I'm pretty sure for dinner tonight I got the Beyond Meat meatballs, the Beyond meatballs
Ah, I haven't
today.
had those yet.
I'm so excited. So I'm
Mm,
thinking we're going to have meatball heroes for dinner. So when
yeah.
we say that you can eat, like Andy from Compassion Company, anything you can eat, I can eat vegan on his
Yeah.
shirt.
Hmm.
No joke. We're going to have, because you know that Follow Your Heart package that I got that I spoke about had cheese in it. So cheese, sauce, the Beyond Meat meatballs. I'm gluten free, so even harder, gluten free, but not really. I'm describing a meal that's going to be gluten free and vegan and
Yeah.
delicious
Yeah.
for dinner.
Yeah, it's incredible. I need to try those Beyond Meat meatballs. I love their sausages and their brats. Their brats reminded me. I grew up right on the border of Wisconsin, and we there's this place called the Brat Stop, and when I had these Beyond Meat brats, I thought, oh, this is what I remember from the Brat Stop. That these things taste so like the products we ate as kids, that you could now fool meat eaters.
Yes. I mean, I think if you don't tell somebody, they definitely would be like, "Oh, maybe it tastes a little different, but that's good." They wouldn't question if it was an animal
Sure,
product. They would
sure.
just eat it and go, "It's not exactly the same as what I've had, but it's
I hear you.
good."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and that's because I haven't tricked anybody. I haven't given anybody any Beyond products or Impossible products and be like, oh, let me see if they notice. They know,
Likewise.
but they eat it and I say, what do you think? And they're just like, well, kind of like Violife cheese. This, I mean, friends have said this would pass for cheese. Well, it is cheese. It's
That's
just
right.
plant-based cheese.
No, that's right.
It's
Yeah,
right because I'm a big stickler for words because words matter.
they do.
It's like vegan food is real food.
Agreed.
It's like it's
No,
real.
that's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So I try not to be too much of a pain in the ass when it comes to that stuff. But words do matter, and when you say things, and words matter in this sense too, because we're talking about farm animals. Is those
Yeah.
chickens are not its. Those
No,
chickens,
right.
obviously the egg laying ones, they're all females. They're all she.
Right.
They're not its. They are a sentient living being that has a
Wholeheartedly agree.
sex, right? And
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
broilers, the roosters, whatever, males, females, he, she. And when you put a he, she, like a dog, people refer to their dogs as it. No, that dog is a he or she. And it's
Right.
important to, when you change your vernacular, when you change the words that you choose, especially as a public speaker, when
Right.
you change those words, people hear that. And if when they
Yeah.
first time they hear it, they go, wait a second, they just called that cow he or her.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they think, in their heads, they think, like, one, why did they do that? And then they kind of go, wait a second, she is a she.
Yeah. No, we've even done that with fish, is moving into fishes
Hmm.
to humanize them as individual beings as opposed to this mass of food product, you know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fish, and that's important because, well, segue. Mary
Yeah.
Finelli and Howard will be on next week. Not next
Yeah.
week, a week from next week. A week from
Yeah.
Thursday, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today is probably the easier way to say it. And
Yeah.
they're fish feel.
That's
And
right.
because fish do feel pain. And the reason why you can't hear them is they don't have
Yeah.
vocal cords to tell
Yeah.
you that they
Yeah.
feel pain or to scream, but they feel
Yeah.
pain.
Right. Yeah. And there's a good number of studies, which I'm sure they'll dig into more, that verify that, especially in the last few years that have come out. Yeah, as we talked about before this, I'm a big fan of Mary and Howard, so I'm excited that they will be on there. They live in my neck of the woods in Maryland. Howard's a fellow vegan runner like me, and so that's great that you'll have them on. I see campaigns to impact fishes and aquatic animals as the next frontier for farm animal protection. That land animals like chickens and that are killed in the billions throughout the world. Uh, fishes uh, are often counted by the tons. They're not counted as individual beings, but it's likely in the trillions in the number of them that we raise and kill for food. And it's increasingly gone to an aquaculture system, moving away from the wild territory where they can swim for miles and miles and more, like factory farms. So it's high time that we start addressing the suffering of aquatic animals, and I'm glad that individuals like Mary and Howard are doing that, and I envision groups like the Humane League will be focusing on that at some point when we've sealed the deal on chickens, and that's our main focus right now. But I think the future of farm animal protection and the modern animal protection will have to include aquatic animals.
I couldn't agree more. It's
Yeah.
all the animals, and you just do some research on how fish. Just do some research on that, and you'll see. And then Dave added, "What is the best way to promote investments, research, and development of alternative proteins? I think the Good Food Institute does an outstanding job. Where else can we focus?" Those are good
That's a great
questions.
question. That's a great question. So for starters, yes, the Good Food Institute, which is an organization I love, their main focus is on meat alternatives. So that's plant-based meats, but it's also cellular meat, the meat that comes from the cell of an animal, where you could take cell or two and potentially have an entire food chain. So first, there are groups like nonprofits like the Good Food Institute, like New Harvest, that are focusing on that, and they facilitate that. But then there's, as Dave was asking about the research and development, there are some universities that there's an increasing amount of universities that are focusing on research on cellular meat. In terms of the research and development, and then there's also just investing in these companies. So Beyond Meat has gone public. You can own stock in Beyond Meat, and for the most part, it's been a lucrative stock that has gone up in value, and so. For starters, there's that, but then these companies are also getting more and more investment. So you've had individuals like Bill Gates investing in these companies. So there's some legit capital coming into these companies right now. So I guess if you're an individual consumer right now, the best thing, and you want to push for the advancement of this, is to first buy these products that begets more investment in these products. The second is to promote them, to let your friends know about them, share that on social media. And then there's the area of those who have a lot of money that they want to invest in it. And you can consider giving, you can consider investing serious dollars into these companies. You can give to organizations, nonprofits like Good Food Institute and New Harvest. Uh, so yeah, that's a way if you're specifically focused on that to where you can push the ball forward there.
No, that's great. And then we just did a talk last week with Claire Smith on Saturday about green investing. So that's up on
Mm-hmm.
the Virtual Veg Fest YouTube if you want to figure out you want to make money by aligning with your values.
Yeah.
A wealth of information, pun intended, in that video.
I should watch that. That's something I'd like to know more about, and it's great that there are folks out there where they're using their specialized knowledge to push the ball forward for animals.
That's exactly it. They did the research, they did the hard work to figure out where you want to put your money. They created a fund that you can invest in that's on
No,
the
that's
stock
right.
exchange. And I'm like the like complete noob when it comes to that stuff. So it was
Sure,
very interesting for me to sit and just talk with her and have her explain like really what we should do with our
sure.
funds if we want you because you invest in a fund and that fund could have like oil and you know in McDonald's in it, right?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
could have Beyond Meat in it too,
yeah.
but are you balancing it out where it doesn't work? Whereas the fund that they
Right.
created has Beyond Meat in it, and it's all vegan, all green. Not necessarily
Yeah,
vegan companies, but companies they vetted to be green.
yeah. Mutually
And
beneficial.
yes, and it makes money,
No, that's right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's
Good,
important too.
good for the planet and good for your wallet.
Exactly, because we
Yeah.
we have to think about retirement. We're not young.
Sure. Sure.
So, John, if someone wanted to get in touch with you or with the Humane League, how would they do it?
Jcamp at thehumaneleague.org is how folks can reach me. I encourage folks to follow us on social media. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. I encourage folks to sign up for our e-newsletter, which they can do at thehumaneleague.org. I also encourage folks to sign up for what we have that's called the Fast Action Network. And that's you type in Fast Action Network, you go there and you sign up to get an email or two a week where we send out actions where you can take part in our corporate campaigns. So if we're campaigning against a certain company, you can take action to email the executives at this company or tweet at them. And that type of pressure really does move them to create policy decisions. So wholeheartedly encourage you to get involved with that. It's end of year. If folks think that the Humane League are doing good work, I encourage you to donate to us. We've got matching gifts between now and the end of the year. Giving Tuesday is coming up on December 1st. That's when a lot of folks like to give. And especially during this year, that was a financial challenge for a lot of folks. It was also a financial challenge for nonprofits. And so whether it's the Humane League or whether it's another nonprofit that you like that's doing good work for animals, if you can give, I highly encourage you to give, especially this year that it really matters to the nonprofits who are doing this work.
I couldn't agree more. The sanctuaries, I mean, we're a nonprofit. You're a nonprofit.
Sure.
It is been it's been a rough year. Not just with the pandemic. Oh, dogs, don't do it now. So, yeah, it's been a rough
they're
year.
concurring. They're
They're
concurring
concurring
with
that it's
you.
been a rough year. Yeah, I just love them. So, yeah, and that's true. I'm a big proponent of please donate where you can. And that day, December 1st, will also be Shop Green Tuesday. So you can make a
Mm,
donation and you can shop the vendors that have also struggled this year and the restaurants, whoever's
mm,
open at this point, because by December 1st, I think we might be more locked down. But who, but takeout and
sure.
have specials on that day too. So let's support everyone within our community and around the world and get us
Yeah.
through. Let's get to the end of 2020
Yeah.
and start 2021 and see some things gradually improve.
I'm
So that
hopeful in that.
2022 will be back in person.
Yeah, I think 2021 is going to be a better year than 2020, and I think 2022 will be a better year than 2021. So only looking it's looking rough for the next month or so, and then it's going to start hopefully getting quite a bit better.
Right, I agree. I think that's where we're heading. And Dave said,
Yeah.
"Thanks, team. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Really appreciate it." So, Jon, this is great. You're amazing.
Thank you, Helene.
You've been at the event,
Feelings
but
are mutual.
I didn't really get to even talk with you,
Sure,
so
sure.
because I'm so busy when I do the festivals. But
Yeah.
I'm like super glad to have had this time with you before and during because I learned a lot.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, no, you're very good. You're very knowledgeable, and I was super impressed.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it was a joy, and thanks for everyone for tuning in.
Oh, no problem. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Take
Okay,
care.
bye, Jon.
Bye bye.
Well, how cool is that? That was a lot of fun, and he is incredibly knowledgeable, so I hope you got as much out of that as I did. And as we always finish up, it's now more than ever, I'll do my plant based network one. Please wear a mask, right? Over the nose, under the chin. Don't expose your nose. It does nothing if you expose your nose to keep the virus out of your system. So make sure you wear your mask correctly and be kind to one another. And then we are off next week because of the holiday. It is Thanksgiving, is one of my favorite holidays as a vegan. Great food. I hope you're going to have incredible food next week as well. I'm not cooking. I'm getting food from two different restaurants that are local in North Carolina to support them because the food is incredible. And we normally go to the world's largest, this country's actually largest vegan Thanksgiving in Durham by Triangle Vegetarian Society, but it's takeout this year because of COVID. So we pivot and we'll eat at home and we'll have lots of leftovers. And then Soul Casino Triangle is our other choice for food. If you're local, please go get food from both of them. And wherever you are, search out who has food for Thanksgiving if you don't want to cook. I've been cooking every day for like 9, 10 months. I want to order food in. So it's one of those things. If I normally do more eating out, so I'm going to have food in so I don't have to cook for Thanksgiving because I never do. And then, yeah, that's Dave. Awesome. So, outside of that, when we come back, it'll be 2 weeks from today. Mary and Howard from Fish Fields will be on at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Saturday of that week, the Vegan Meathead's coming on. And he's a vegan bodybuilder. He's a vegan powerlifter, actually. And Jon said he's a musician as well. So, have a good Thanksgiving. Have a good rest of your week. Be safe. Be kind. And we will see you on December 5th. It'll be December 5th is when we come back. And you know what? You never know. There might be some pop up videos in the interim. But other than that, don't forget to like our social media. Please subscribe to our Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel. You'll be notified when these get uploaded right after this. They're all on there. You can watch all our talks. We have over 70 of them. So please go and enjoy. And again, thanks to the Plant Based Network and the Pig Reserve for sponsoring our lives this week and for the month of November. Please donate. Please take care of everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.